Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. Kellen here with Droid Life. Time to whip through our 25 tips and tricks for Samsung's new Galaxy S6. For those new to Droid Life, the 25 tips and tricks series is something we created years ago. It's basically our way of highlighting a whole bunch of stuff you can do on your brand new, really expensive phone to hopefully help you get the most out of it. So since the Galaxy S6 is probably going to be, a phone of the year candidate, you guys need to know how to use this bad boy. Now, if you have the Galaxy S6 Edge, all of this stuff is going to apply as well. All of this stuff should work. But if you do have the Edge, you'll probably have some extra features and stuff like that. So look for another video shortly that will cover maybe some of those S6 Edge specific stuff. But again, this stuff works on the S6 and the Edge. So let's get right into this. We got at least 25 of these things. So the first thing I want to talk about is the home button. So it is a fingerprint sensor or scanner, whatever you want to call it. And it's actually a good one. So unlike the S5 and Note 4 that required a swipe, this one, you just set your finger on there and it unlocks. It's really quick. It's really good. You should be using it. You have no excuse not to. Before we get back into using it though, let's jump into settings and then lock screen and security. And this is where you would set it up. So you would choose lock screen type and then you would choose fingerprints as your option. And while you're going through this the first time, it's going to walk you through and say set up fingerprints. If you want to add fingerprints later on, you tap on fingerprints in the same settings area. And you can see here a fingerprint 1 and 2. You can add more. I currently have both thumbs set up since I tend to pick my phone up and press the home button with either thumb. So that's kind of my setup. The nice thing is you could add fingerprints for, say, your wife or your brother or somebody else that you want to give access to your phone to. And then you can still keep it secure, but then they could use it if they need to, which is kind of a cool feature. Another thing down here is web sign-in. You can use it to remember your passwords and things like on the web, or verifying Samsung account. Most of us have a Samsung account, but we probably don't know what the password is because it's something we never access. If you have this turned on and you're prompted to use your Samsung password, you can just use your thumb instead, which is kind of a handy little feature. So again, you set that up in lock screen and security. And again, once you have it set up, it's just one of those things. You pick up your phone, press home, your thumb's already there, you might as well have it secured with your fingerprint. So even if you're one of those people, and I tend to be one of those that doesn't usually use a secure lock screen, you might as well with this phone, just because you're pressing home to wake your phone anyway, leave your thumb on there and unlocks it. So really handy feature, and it works really, really well on this device. All right, so the next thing is launching the camera. So other than unlocking your phone all the time, the other thing you probably do a lot is shoot pictures. This phone has an insanely good and fast camera, so you're gonna want to use it a lot. So the fastest way to launch that is double tap on home twice, opens up your camera, and you can then take a picture. So you can do that with the phone off, as you notice I just did there. So black screen, phone completely locked state, double tap home, launches the camera. The cool thing is you can also do this from within, say, your app drawer, or if you're in Chrome or you're doing something else, you can do this from anywhere on the phone. Just double tap the home button and it launches the camera, and then you can shoot. It's that fast, it's that simple. It's one of probably the number 2 trick I could probably tell you. After that, let's jump into some user interface type of stuff. So if you're a big Google Now user, you hold down on home for a second or so. That launches Google Now. It's really simple. Again, you can do that from anywhere as well, including the app drawer. Like other Samsung devices, this Galaxy S6 has multi-window. So you can do 2 apps at the same time on your screen. Basically, you just hold down the app switcher button and it will pop up the menu and it'll let you choose which apps you want to use. So let's say I want to use Chrome, and then swipe over, and let's say I want to use Instagram. So I can have both of those running. Obviously, I've got nothing popping up because I'm in airplane mode for the video, but you get the point. You have Instagram here, and you could scroll around in there. I have Chrome up here, so I could do some things in Chrome. If you want to adjust things, there's a button right in the middle that allows you to flip-flop these screens if you want to flip-flop those. You can also tap on this button to shrink one down. You can see it sort of goes into this little bubble here, then it pops up as its own little window. So you've got a bunch of options in here. This isn't really new to Samsung devices at all. It's been around for years, but just want to make sure you guys know that it is here as well. So multi-window is back again. Again, a long press on the app switcher gets you right into there. All right, so the next thing is up in your notification area, you have all of these quick toggles which Samsung has also had around for a long time. But one thing you may not know is you can long press on these and they will actually pop into that entire settings menu. So if you're up here and you want to get on a Wi-Fi network, you would just long press on that and you can turn it on. And then you can also scroll through and find a specific network that you're looking for. The cool thing is you can do this with everything. So like your Bluetooth, you could jump in, look at all your Bluetooth options. And then one of my favorite is actually the vibration settings, which is, it's just in sound, I believe. So we long press on sound and that gets you into all of your sound modes and profiles. And if we go into vibrations, vibration intensity is something I tweak with all Samsung phones, and Samsung's one of the few that does this. But basically you can adjust the intensity of the vibrate for specific things. So I leave incoming calls. I leave my phone on vibrate a lot because I have a child and I don't want to wake him up. So I have my calls set on the most intense vibrate setting, but notifications, I don't necessarily need my phone vibrating off a table when an email comes in. So I sort of set those down a little bit lower so they're not quite as crazy. And then vibration feedback is typing and using the soft keys. So you can kind of adjust that as you want. But vibration intensity is something I try to show everyone that has a Samsung device just because it's such a cool little thing. So speaking of settings, so let's jump in, and accessing settings is that button right up top there. Samsung's added this really cool section that I've been using like crazy, and they're basically quick settings in your settings. So these are quick settings toggles. These are quick settings, if that makes any sense. Anyways, you can display up to 9 settings in this area. And if you look, Samsung still has its massive list of settings, but you can set up your most favorite, your most used up here. You just hit edit and it gives you a whole bunch of different things that you can touch. So I could add a ringtone and do not disturb if I want, and go back here. And now you can see I've got more stuff added. So I have a shortcut to battery. I also have one to, not normally sound notifications, but lock screen. You notice I access that for the fingerprint stuff. So you can really just sort of keep all your favorite settings right there, like about device in case you want to hammer on the software update button and things like that. So really handy feature they added that I wasn't expecting to love, and I actually use quite often. All right, so display modes would be one of the next things I want to show you, and I've changed up all my things. There we go. Display modes. So if we go into screen mode in display settings, Samsung really lets you take advantage of the AMOLED punchiness, if you will. And so I have mine set to adaptive display, where the display tries to sort of change depending on the experience it thinks I should get. But if you want to just go crazy AMOLED, blow out all the colors, you have a couple of AMOLED modes, which are kind of fun. Like AMOLED Cinema, everything just gets crazy vibrant and contrasted and all over the place in color. There's also a basic mode if you just want to look pretty standard. I tend to leave it in adaptive display, but if you really want to adjust those modes, especially if you're watching a movie or something, you might want to jump in there. All right, so if we go back to settings, so I want to point out that download booster is on here as well. So download booster, if you turn that on and you're using Wi-Fi and you're on LTE, if you download a big file, 30 megabytes or over, it uses a combo of Wi-Fi and LTE to really download stuff incredibly fast. So if you're downloading a lot of stuff, you may want to consider turning on download booster. So if we're still in settings here, motions and gestures. So Samsung includes a number of motions and gestures. Direct call is an option where if you're looking at a contact for someone, you can just hold the phone up to your face and it will call them. Mute, if incoming call is coming over, you can flip your phone over, or I believe just wave your hand over it now. Yep, place your hand over your phone or flip it over, one or the other. There's also a palm swipe, which is a swiping gesture that works like this, where it'll capture the screen. I always turn that off because I've had that go off way too many times without me wanting it. The one that I do keep on is Smart Alert. So Smart Alert, if you haven't touched your phone for a while, say you're in a meeting and you come back to it and you pick it up, it will notice that you've picked it up and it will then sort of vibrate and tell you that you have missed calls and messages and things like that. So it's kind of a cool little thing. Back into settings. So do not disturb mode is something that used to be called blocking mode. Let me see if I can find it here. Oh, there it is. Do not disturb mode. So it used to be called blocking mode. Now it's called do not disturb mode. Anyways, you understand the idea. You basically put your phone in a state where you do not want to be disturbed. So the cool thing is you can set a schedule though. So I have mine to turn on at midnight, and turn back off at 6 a.m. So during those hours, I don't get any messages or notifications. Nothing comes through. Well, they're still coming to my phone, but it's not telling me that those are coming through. So it's kind of like quiet time. Really, really handy deal. You can also set it up for exceptions so that alarms always still come through, or calls always come through, or your favorite people are still able to contact you. So next thing I want to talk about is the keyboard. So I'm not a big fan of Samsung's keyboard. So if you want to turn that off, I would go in and download Google's keyboard because it's great, or SwiftKey, or Swipe, or there's a whole bunch of them out there. So anyway, I would download a third-party keyboard. Once you've done that, this is where you would change it, is just in language and input, where you can set up what your default keyboard is. One of the cool things is you can actually turn off, let's see if I can find it. You can actually turn off Samsung's keyboard, which is kind of nuts to think. And of course, I can't find the setting as I'm trying to tell you guys about it. But you can actually turn off Samsung's keyboard forever, and it won't show up as an option, which is interesting. So let's see. Smart lock is another thing I want to talk about. So if we go into lock screen settings and then secure lock settings, you'll notice an option called Smart Lock. So Smart Lock was introduced by Google with Lollipop. And basically what that means is if you're attached to a Bluetooth device, say a Moto 360 or maybe your phone, or I'm sorry, your car, or something like that, you can have it set so that it will bypass and leave your phone unlocked during that time when it's connected to those devices. But should you leave your phone behind or leave your car, your phone will go back to being locked. But it's kind of one of those convenience things, like it knows that it's on you, and so you can have it stay unlocked at the right time. So there's trusted devices. You can also have trusted places work, which means when you arrive home, your lock screen is no longer secure. But when you leave and go out to work or something, it would then relock itself. So a really cool feature that we talk about a lot. Let's see. So screen pinning is another feature introduced with Lollipop, and Samsung's kind of hidden it. So if you're in the lock screen and security, and we go into other security settings, I believe we scroll all the way to the bottom, there is a pin windows section. So pinning a window means if I hit the app switcher and I scroll up a little bit here, you should see a little pin option down here. So if I tap that pin option, I can then pin a screen on the screen so that if I handed my device to somebody else, they wouldn't be able to access anything else except that screen. One of the cool things you can do is ask for a fingerprint before unpinning. So if I click start on this screen is now pinned. So you can see if I hit home, it's not leaving the screen. So you actually have to hold down app switcher and back at the same time. And if I'm doing that properly, and that will unlock that pin. But one of the cool things that Samsung is allowing you to do, since you have that fingerprint sensor, is ask for a fingerprint before unpinning. So you would, well, I'll just show you. So we're in there and we're screen pinned. So we would hold these two buttons down to unlock it, and then you would then have to use your fingerprint to really unlock the device fully. So a nice little add-on there for screen pinning. All right, so we're almost done with settings, but easy mode for those of you who maybe are handing your phone over to a grandparent or something and they want to just get the basic functionality. Easy mode is what that is. So most of you are going to operate in standard mode, but easy mode, you can see in these screenshots here, it just turns your phone into a simple phone with a clock and just a couple of options. Again, it's supposed to be easy. Another thing I want to talk about though is battery. So all of your battery stats are in here. You can check usage and estimated time remaining and things like that. But I did want to point out that there's power saving mode and ultra power saving mode. So power saving mode, you can see it limits the maximum CPU performance and reduces screen brightness. And it's kind of like your basic power saving mode in case your battery is running a little bit low. The other thing though you want to take a look at probably is ultra power saving mode. This is for those times where you're not going to be around a charger in a really long time, but you still need your phone. And so it turns everything black and white and really limits the functionality of your device completely. But it will allow your phone to last a really long time. So you can see I have about 8 hours remaining of usage. Power saving mode basically gives me about the same, but ultra power saving mode goes all the way up to 17 and a half hours. So definitely something to consider there. All right, so we're done with settings for a while, back to actually using the phone. So on your home screen setup, when you first jump in here, there is actually a flipboard thing just over to the left side. So you would swipe over and you would sort of get a flipboard experience. I've never really been a fan of that. It's kind of like HTC's Blink Feed, except Flipboard just doesn't seem to be as good to me. It also, the performance over there just has always been kind of laggy. So if you want to turn that off, you pinch out on home, swipe over, and there's actually a little box up here that you would check, and that's how you turn it off. You can't like grab the screen and delete it or anything like that. It's always there, so you have to just uncheck that box. I know it's kind of a pain, but that's just how it works. One of the cool things Samsung did though this time around is they allow you to adjust the screen grid size of your home screen. So it defaults to 4x4, but let's say you want it to be 4x5. You have a specific widget that wants to look a certain way. You can go 5x5 and really spread it out. It gives you even more area, another row to put more icons on. So it's kind of one of those customization features we don't really see OEMs doing, but 5x5, you can change your grid, and you can see now I've got a whole nother row to put additional stuff on, icons, widgets, things like that. Kind of a cool little feature that I wasn't expecting them to see in there. If we're in here though, these settings, and we're in widgets, so I actually do like it that Samsung included a search widgets option. So the widgets area in Android has always been kind of a disaster, at least to me. If you have lots of widgets, you have to just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. But with a search feature, I should just be able to find, like, say, today calendar. And sure enough, it pops right up. So T obviously being at the end of the alphabet, it's going to be at the end of the row. But if I want to find it, I can actually search in there to find widgets, which is actually a really nice feature. So if we jump into the app drawer really quickly, you can quickly disable or uninstall a whole bunch of apps at once if you want. So you would just go into edit, and immediately once you tap edit, you'll see all the minuses on apps that you can get rid of. And you really just start tapping the minus and they will all start going away. Samsung's actually opened it up a little bit and allows you to disable most apps on your phone. So it's kind of a cool feature. If you just want to uninstall a single app quickly, you can long press and grab on it and go right up to uninstall, and that will uninstall the app. So keep that in mind as well. The other thing in there, so they've stripped most of the features and bloat out of the app drawer in terms of functionality. So you really just have edit, then you have this A to Z button. And you're going to want to hit this a lot because that sorts everything alphabetically. The problem is every time you download a new app, it goes to the end of your app drawer. So you're going to want to have to do that every single time you download a new app, which is a bit unfortunate. One app I did want to show you though is the Smart Manager. So the Smart Manager app shows how much battery life you have left, how much storage you have left, and you're using, if your device is secure through Samsung's Knox, and how much RAM you have available. So this just might be a good way to look if you're having performance issues or you're concerned about running out of storage. Just one of those apps that quickly give you an overview of your phone. You can also tap this clean all, and to be honest, I have no idea what that's actually doing, but it may be worth a shot here or there, although that kind of runs into task manager territory, which is something we definitely don't recommend using. But it is something to take a look at. So the other thing we talked earlier about swiping to do screenshots, which we tell you to turn off. So to do screenshots on Samsung devices, you actually hit power and the home button at the same time, and it will take a screenshot. And when it takes that screenshot, it goes right up here into your notifications. And from there, you can actually delete, edit, or share. So Samsung's actually added some functionality there over stock Android, which is kind of nice. And finally, let's jump back into the settings one more time, scroll all the way to the bottom. If you ever want to get into developer stuff, or you want to use ADB or get into tinkering, you need to unlock your developer options. So to do that, we always remind you, you go into About Phone, About Device, and tap on the build number a whole bunch of times, and it will prompt you and say you need to tap 10 times or so to become a developer. Once you do that, it will unlock developer options. So that's just a tinkering thing. And then because we just like Android, here's the Android version, which sure enough is Lollipop. And if you want to play the Lollipop Bug Droid Floppy Bird game, this is how you do it. So that is it. That was at least 25 tips or tricks for your Galaxy S6. If there's anything else you guys want us to show you, we can certainly do that, but that should get you at least going and running your device to the best of your ability. So for now, we are Droid Life. Stay tuned. Our full review is coming soon. We're out. Peace.